How you doing, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel, whichever it may be. Today I'm having a look at the Hot Toys Robin from Batman and Robin, MMS 787. Quick look at the box there. You can see we have an image of the figure on the front, a nice red filter over it all, which is in theme with the Batman and Robin logo, the reds around it, and a contrast to the George Clooney Batman, which had a blue filter over it. On the side we have Robin MMS 787 on the side, and then on the back we have the usual warnings and information about Hot Toys. And while I pull off the slip cover in my usual form, if I can get the sticker to unstick, I will ask you to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And then on the back, or under the slip, we have an image of Chris O'Donnell himself as Robin, just like some of the movie promo images we would have gotten in 1997. And then on the side here, Batman and Robin in the Batman and Robin text. And then we have the figure itself and all the accessories inside. So there we have it for a quick look at the box. So moving on, let's do a quick pan of the figure. So here we are for a quick pan of Robin from Batman and Robin. And as a lot of you know, Marlon Wayans was originally cast as Robin for Batman Returns. However, Tim Burton didn't think that Robin would fit into his world, so he lobbied to have Robin cut for streamlining purposes. Wayans was paid, the role was cut, and the rest is history. Chris O'Donnell was cast as Robin for Batman Forever. And for Batman and Robin, Chris O'Donnell actually turned down a role in Men in Black, and that role was the lead role as Agent J. O'Donnell has stated that it was the biggest mistake in his career, and chose to reprise the role as Robin for fear of losing the role to another actor, like Val Kilmer had been for the role of Batman. Robin, aka the Boy Wonder, was not played by a boy. In fact, O'Donnell was 25 when he played the role of Robin in Batman Forever, which is a bit confusing and a bit weird if you consider that Bruce Wayne took him in as an orphan, although he was supposed to be 17 but was clearly older. And in Batman Forever, Robin is Batman's protege in Batman Forever, but in Batman and Robin, he's trying to be Batman's equal, and he comes across more like a little brother trying to seek his older siblings' validation. And that's the ultimate difference between Robin in Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. So that's pretty much it for the big screen Robin. There's a whole cacophony of backstory and lore for Robin in the comics, where he was played by two different people. He was Dick Grayson, and there was Jason Todd, who took over from Dick Grayson in the comics as kind of the second Robin. So there we are for a quick backstory of the character of Robin and the big screen version of Robin. So let's have a look at his accessories. So here we are for all of the accessories that come with the Robin figure from Batman and Robin. And starting off with his hands, we have 9 hands, 2 closed fists, 2 relaxed palms, some very unique hands here. We have a really kind of spread fingered hand here, which is specifically for these accessories, these bladed disc things that he has. Now, for the life of me, I don't remember him using these in the film. But he must have. I'm sure he did. I think I've only seen the movie twice in my life. 3 times at max. I'm pretty sure it was only twice. So I haven't really taken in the details. I kind of more watched that movie for a laugh and put it on in the background. Yeah, he has these hands specifically designed for these devices. They're like disc blades. I like the paintwork on them. The metallic red really pops, really looks good. And they do have this little silver beak on them to look kind of like a Robin. And he has these very unique hands also, which are kind of a clawing hand, but they're specifically designed for these, possibly the most violent looking knuckle dusters I've ever seen in my life. Now, they're a little bit difficult to get into the hand. I probably won't be able to do it. You did see them on the hands in the pan, but they were a bit of a nuisance to get on. Now, the fingers are very pliable. They're made of very soft plastic, But with a little bit of futzing about, you can get the fingers into the knuckle duster and get them in there. But like I said, probably the most violent looking knuckle dusters I've ever seen. If you were to get a punch with them, it's game over. It's lights out. And then he has his trigger hand for holding on to his it's the ice melting device that he uses in the movie. Now, I actually thought when I was reviewing the Batman figure, the George Clooney Batman from this movie, I did state that he uses the Batman one. I didn't realize he actually had his own one. I thought he used the same one as Batman, but as you can see, it is quite different to the one that Batman uses. It doesn't quite sit in the hand entirely convincingly, but it is a different device to the one that Batman uses, or the one that comes with the Batman figure, and is, in my opinion, way cooler than the one that Batman uses. I love that metallic red on it. It really looks well, and we do get this little attachable laser beam that comes out of it, where you can have the option to make it look like it's actually in use or it's not in use. So really quickly, that was it for the... Oh no, I'm forgetting about his oversized Batarang. That's a bit of a theme for the Batman and Robin movie. Again, the little silver beak on it, just to make it look more like a bird or a robin, like it's in flight. Same as these here. You know, it has a rounded end on it and kind of looks like it could be a bird of some sort. Obviously a robin, but there we go for the accessories really quickly. Got them out of the way. So moving on, let's have a look at the base. So here we are for the base that comes with Robin. Exactly the same as the Batman one, which is nice that they're in theme together. And the only difference obviously is the nameplate, Robin instead of Batman, but the base is identical. And look, standing beside each other, they look pretty decent. That's actually a separate piece. I've just noticed that the logo, the Batman logo, is a separate piece. That's a little bit loose on the end there, but it's stuck onto the base. I thought it was part of the print, but it actually is a separate piece that's glued on. It's not part of the mold. That end of it there is a little bit loose. It's raised up a little bit. Really old base that they use with these out-of-date, non-functioning lights that they kind of need to change the mold. But with that said, they have announced something recently with the lights actually function. I can't remember what figure it is. So here we are for Robin, pretty much straight up as he comes out of the box, and starting at the bottom in my usual form, we'll work our way up. We have his boots, just like a lot of recent figures, just like the Batman figure. They're trying to transition away from the split boot wherever they can, and it really makes a difference with the look of the figures. However, it does restrict the ankle articulation, but I'm willing to make that sacrifice for the seams, to get rid of the seams. A lot of creasing in the boots, looks really well. Really matte looking boot as well, with, again, just like the Batman figure, with the high gloss part on the toes, with a little bit of detail of these three little ridges. And then moving up to the top, we have kind of what kind of looks like a Robin logo. It's very unique design on the front of them there. It kind of looks like the Robin symbol. It's very unique. Really soft plastic, as you can see, really pliable. Almost a rubber. Really nicely done. They do come away from the leg a little bit. I'm not sure how accurate that is. I would assume it is accurate. Otherwise, I'm sure Hot Toys would have made them tighter to the leg. But there is quite a gap there between the boot and the leg. Moving up to the rubber suit. It's a bit thicker than I expected it to be honest. It's not a deal breaker, don't get me wrong. But I did expect it to be a softer, thinner, more pliable rubber on there, more like the kind of new Batman Returns figure. But it's a little bit thicker. It's more in theme with the Val Kilmer Batman, that kind of material that they would have used. The knee pads aren't separate; they're part of the mold. All this accurate muscle definition that was added to the top of the suit in pre-production, they got the base suit and they kind of put these muscle part sections onto the suit. And it should, the screen used suit, just like the Batman suit, did have a bit of a blue tint off it. This has this very, very slight little blue tint off it, to the point where you can't really see it. It's so subtle. It looks jet black on camera, where the screen used costume was more of a closer to a navy, should I say. On screen in the movie, it didn't look like it had that blue tint. So, like I said, with the Batman figure, I'd much prefer a screen accurate looking suit than a production or a costume accurate to what it looked like off camera, if that makes any sense. Movie accurate belt, it is separate, but it's quite tight on him. It's not going to wiggle around, it's not going to move around the place. There is a separation here that kind of needs to be covered up. You can see where it's attached. I'm sure Hot Toys have their reasons, but there is a little line there where the suit is glued together, or glued onto him, where basically the top half and the bottom half of the outfit are glued together, as you can see there. And there is quite a visible seam line if you don't cover it up with the belt. Again, more of this muscle definition, moving up to the very obvious looking Knightwing looking symbol on it there. Really, really looks like a Knightwing. And anybody who's familiar with the modern lore of Batman or Robin, Knightwing is Dick Grayson now. Or Dick Grayson is Knightwing now, whichever way you want to put it. And you can see the Knightwing look to it. If that was an electric blue, we would basically have ourselves a Knightwing. And I wonder, could that be painted up by somebody? It's not how I'd go with it. I wonder if there is anybody that's going to modify this, that's going to paint that to the electric blue to have yourself a Chris O'Donnell Knightwing. It wouldn't be a bad idea. You know, if you're looking for an alternate kind of Knightwing looking figure. I know Hot Toys have made a VGM Knightwing, but maybe it would be possible to make a Knightwing out of this. Gauntlets, again, movie accurate with the red little stripe running down them. 3 separate spikes in traditional Batman fashion, unlike the Batman George Clooney. He has kind of molded into one, as you would have seen in my review for the George Clooney Batman. And the gauntlets are made of a very soft plastic, not a whole heap of detail in them or creasing in them. There's a little bit there, they still do the job. They look the part, they serve their purpose. I do love the definition here, the muscle definition that's added, you know, all the different kind of sections of the deltoid there. And, you know, the kind of a ripped look to it there. And even the definition in the separation between the bicep and the tricep, really nicely done. Really like that, really looks well at that shoulder definition. And then looking at the back of the cape there, not a bad cape at all for Hot Toys, to be honest with you. It's the same material that they're using these days. It's not that pleather like some of the older figures. Like the Batman Forever Robin was made out of pleather. There's a lot of pleats in it. There's no wire running through it, but there's a lot of pleats in it there which really make it look nice and make it drape really well. Reasonably well draped anyway. Not any foots and needs doing for this cape. Really nicely done. Sits quite nice and quite impressive. I'm really impressed with this figure, to be honest with you. I think it's going to look great on the shelf. And that red on the chest really pops. So moving on, let's get a close-up on this head sculpt and see what we're presented with. So here we have the Chris O'Donnell head sculpt, and you can see a part that I didn't mention actually on the outfit, the separate neck piece that he has added onto him. And again, it's a soft plastic, not as soft as the gauntlets or the boots, but it is kind of a soft plastic. I do hope that it doesn't take any paint off, because it is rubbing off the neckline and it is rubbing off the chin. You'd want to be very careful when moving the head on this thing so that you don't scrape any paint off with that neck piece. even though it is a soft material, and it is obviously a separate piece, so it does move about. You maybe if you're going to move the head, you'd want to pull that neck piece down, and then move the head to clear it from the neck and underneath the jaw. As for the sculpt, it's a little bit soft in my opinion. It's a little bit soft for the age that Chris O'Donnell was when he made the movie. I think he was pushing 30 at the time. And straight out of the box I can see one of those eyes is turned in a little bit, so if you have spotted that, I do apologise. But it's not a bad sculpt. It could have done with a bit more of a 5 o'clock shadow on it there, just to make him look that little bit older and look that little bit more aged or mature. It's not 100% for Chris O'Donnell, but we certainly know who it is and who we're looking at. The hair mould, just like the one from Batman Forever, isn't absolutely fantastic. It's not the best work. It's a little bit lacking in definition. Although he had a very tight haircut in the movie, I still believe the hair sculpt is a little bit soft. It's a little bit lacking. It doesn't have the definition and the detail to it that Hot Toys usually do with the hair. The colour tone is really nice. You can see how the light bounces off it there, and it changes, you know, as the light hits it. But I just think it's lacking a little bit in definition. As for the eyes, as most of you have seen before already at this stage, in order to move the eyes, you do have to take the mask off, and that is the stuff of nightmares right there. That is horrific looking when you take that mask off. And you just have the adjusters here, if I can get that to focus. The adjusters for the eyes on the inside of the mask, like so. And it is a fantastic idea for Hot Toys to do that, to just put the eyes in there, so there's no, you know, removing the back of the sculpt or taking the head sculpt off at all to adjust the eyes. Absolutely fantastic. But what I want to do is, I want to do a comparison between the Hot Toys Batman and Robin figure and the Hot Toys Batman Forever figure. So I have him here, and if I can just get this to the side, yeah, there we go. So we'll get close in on the head sculpts in a little bit, but just looking at the comparison, the newer one is slightly taller. The neck is definitely a little bit longer on the newer one. It's ever so slightly taller, as you can see. And the older one doesn't have the rolling eyeball function, so it is a slightly bigger head sculpt on the newer one as well. And it feels like the same material they've used for the suit. Even the body on the newer one is wider as well, as you can see there. The reason why I got the original Robin, the Batman Forever Robin, is because it's closer to the more traditional Robin colours than this one, which was leaning more towards a Knightwing. So I did want the more traditional looking Robin in my collection, so that's why I got this one. I had to pair the new Robin up with the new Batman, the George Clooney Batman, and I'm getting Mr. Freeze as well. So, but looking at the heights there, there's very, very little in it, but the new one is slightly taller, as I said. So just having a look at the comparison with the head sculpts, and you can see that the newer one is slightly bigger. The jaw is more rounded off, where the older one is kind of a more pointier jaw. It definitely, the newer one is 100% way more accurate to Chris O'Donnell than the older one. And it kind of makes a little bit of a show of the older one, the newer one does, where the older one looks a bit more toyish. You can see there's a very different hair colour there as well, where the newer one is more accurate in hair colour to Chris O'Donnell than the older one. The mask is way bigger on the older one, way bigger, and covers a lot more of the face. But there's, you know, there's huge improvements there, and you can kind of see the evolution of Hot Toys just in this head sculpt alone. Now, the old one is no slouch. We still know who it is. It still, you know, resembles Chris O'Donnell, but the newer one is obviously far more superior and much better head sculpt. So that's pretty much it for the Hot Toys Robin from Batman and Robin. I've left you with a few images there. Please don't hesitate to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps out the channel and spreads the videos. So that's pretty much it. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks very much for watching, and I suppose I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.